We're getting there. Hello, welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the July 9th Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Donna, would you please call the roll?
Adam Gersbauer. Joel Dindu.
Here.
Denise Graves.
Here.
Chris Doherty.
Here. So there are three of us here, and there's a quorum, and we would all need to vote the same way to have something be recommended to the council or to have something pass on this tonight. Explanation of the rules and procedures are up on the board, and to my right and to my left. First, we'll hear a presentation by the appellate. I would ask that we all do all of our speaking at the podium and the podium only so we can have it recorded. When you come up to the podium, please state your name and address very clearly so Donna can take that into the record. For each item, we'll ask those participating in the room to speak first, followed by those participating online. I don't believe there's going to be anybody online for this BZA meeting today. Then we'll hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the appeal and those who wish to speak against the appeal. If you have general questions, you don't know if you're for or against it, that you want answered in a right or rebuttal, you can come up, I would suggest, during the against the appeal. We'll accumulate all the questions that came up, and then we'll have a right or rebuttal by the appellate to answer all of those questions. We'll close the public hearing and then have a board discussion, then a board vote. The previous minutes were distributed to the board members and reviewed. Were there any changes to those minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
And those minutes are approved. Are there any conflict of interest on any of the items tonight with the board members? No? One thing I did forget is the introduction of the staff. To my right, we have Donna Burkhart, our administrative planner. Shad Annis, our associate planner, sitting next to her. To my left, we have Krista Hill, our senior planner. Derek Spear, our city planners over there. David Bent, our legal counsel's in the front. Ken Prince, who's in the audience, is our executive director. And with that, we will roll right into the first item, which is an appeal. Number 24-23, an appeal submitted by School City of Mishawaka requesting a developmental variance for 600 Purgle Drive, Mishawaka, Indiana, to allow for a second sign for Liberty Elementary School. Hello.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ken Prince, I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the city with offices here at City Hall. The proposal before you is for a second sign for the School City of Mishawaka. Those that are familiar with Liberty School, there is a current sign off Purgle Drive, which is the address for the school. As part of our negotiations with School City to purchase the land located directly off McKinley for the new Fire Station 2 project, one of the requests was to construct a driveway, basically a road, but it's a private road. It's not publicly dedicated to serve from McKinley going back to Liberty School. So currently, before that road was in place, all the traffic came down Purgle Drive through that residential neighborhood. So having two ways in and out of that site was advantageous. That was a request. So part of the purchase price of the property was the city agreeing to install that drive. As part of our agreement on purchasing the property, we also committed to installing a sign for them off of McKinley, since we were the ones creating the drive as part of the purchase price, which was $1 for the property, just for the record. We committed to putting in the electronic reader board. We did a similar proposal at the high school, also at Twin Branch School. This is the next logical way to do that. If you can go back to the aerial, Shen. You can see that the aerial, the area where the sign is proposed is on the east side of the entry drive, and there's limited site visibility in that location. So one of the changes that we made was making it a pole sign instead of a monument sign to ensure visibility around the sign. So that's one of the differences. The height is under 14 feet. the same size sign. It's basically the same size sign that you have at Twin Branch. The only difference is it's mounted on a pole. I was at a meeting with the superintendent today just for the opening of Rose Park. He did identify he thought it might be better not to put the brick located around it, that it might be better and cleaner just to do it with a metal pole. Historically, we've identified that it's going to be School City's sign. They should determine what that is. But we've indicated that we don't object to the cost. So that's yet to be worked out. I just wanted to make the board aware that instead of the brick that you see there, it just may be a metal pole. And I think his concern was really regarding the long-term maintenance of it, that they may prefer the metal, but so that's yet to be determined. With that, there will also be another sign, but on the city's property for the fire station that does not require a variance. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions for our executive director? None? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of Appeal 24-23? Hearing none, is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-23? Is there any additional information on this, Mr. Spear? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing, and I will take a motion on Appeal 24-23 unless there's more discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve Appeal 2423 with a comment that it'll be nice to have a sign there.
Second.
Thank you. Donna, would you please call for the vote?
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Denise Graves,
Yes.
Chris Torty,
Yes, and Appeal 24-23 as a developmental variance is a pass. Brings us to the next item on the agenda. Before I get to that, I want to ask technical support in the back. Are our speakers to hear the microphone on? These ones on the panel? They are? Okay. All right, I got the thumbs up. Okay, moving along. Appeal 24-24. An appeal submitted by Sean Potschmidt requesting a developmental variance for 202 North Russell Drive, Mishawaka, Indiana, to allow for a reduced exterior side yard setback. Hi, is there somebody here to present this? Hi.
Hi, my name is Sean Potchman. I'm the owner of the 202 Russell there. This is a residential rental, and as you see from the property here, my backyard is viewed from a lot of different angles to whatever is going on in that backyard. And I've had a couple different tenants ask me to put a fence up, and I thought I would kind of go through with this to just make my tenants happy and to get better usage out of that particular property. It's kind of a busy area right there off of Lincoln Way. People like to cut down through Russell Avenue and then go into River Ave and then go up to the Martins or Ironwood. So there's quite a lot of traffic, and somewhat also on River Ave. So having some form of privacy is, I think, a really nice thing I can provide for my tenants there.
Okay, thank you. Is the fence already up?
Fence is not up.
Okay.
No. And if we were to abide by the current rule, I think it's 12 feet off the street, that would put it right at the house, and thus, a lot less yard to
Yep.
use, so.
And it sounds like you've worked with the staff and the city on this, and they recommend approval as well. Is there any other questions? No? Thank you for the presentation. Is there anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of Appeal 24-24? Hearing none, is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-24? Hearing none, is there any additional information?
No further information.
Okay, then I'll close the public hearing, and I'll take a motion on Appeal 24-24.
I move that we approve Appeal 24-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Donna, would you please call for the vote?
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Denise Graves.
Yes.
Chris Torty.
Yes. And Appeal 24-24 is passed. Okay, that brings us to the next item. The next item is a use variance. So this body does not vote on this. We just recommend this, and it goes to the council. And it is an appeal submitted by, it's 24-25, an appeal submitted by MCC Self-Storage LLC and Morris Sales, Inc., requesting a use variance for 940 East 12th Street, Mishawaka, Indiana, to allow for 2 permanent storage containers for fireworks. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Josh Visser. I'm a lawyer on behalf of the appellant Morris Sales, Inc. Morris Sales owns the real estate at 940 East 12th Street, Mishawaka, and currently a fireworks store operates at that location, and it is currently zoned commercial C1. And the proposed use variance that we're asking for is that we can place up to 2 storage containers outside the store so that inventory can be stored there. Those would be 40-foot by 8-foot by 10-foot storage containers. And those would be east of the building at 1010 South Merrifield. So, thank you. And on this depiction, is one of the locations the fire department suggested for the location, the 2 containers nose to tail right outside the store there. And I think the fire department was kind enough to suggest 3 possibilities for locations, and that's our preferred proposal. We also propose to install slats in the existing fence that is just to the south so that you cannot view the area as well. And we also understand that the staff has recommended that the storage containers may not be stacked and that there must be they recommend a limit of 10 feet on those. We totally agree with that. I think that's a good idea. We also understand the staff recommends that each of these units be marked with an explosives sign, and we also agree with that and think that's a good idea. We also understand that the staff recommends that there be a fireworks permit issued by the Department of Homeland Security in Indiana for the fireworks store, and that be a condition for that use variance. And we also agree with that. In fact, we've been operating under that. And in fact, this location is subject to the inspections of the state fire marshal as well as local fire. So we're happy to abide by that. And we also understand that the staff recommended that the variance be subject to the fire marshal. If need arise, if the fire marshal recommended a different location, we'd be happy to comply with that. You have any questions for me?
Thank you, Counselor. I do have a question. So I've seen C1 storage containers get approved and not approved and come through the BZA, then go to the council as well, but never filled with fireworks. So fireworks explode, and this is right by 12th Street and right there. What?
A couple comments on that. Yeah, just the word fireworks kind of grabs your attention. So the building where we're currently operating, that is subject to higher scrutiny by the state fire marshal and such, and so we've complied with everything in the building. But I'd say right now that building is just the yellow portion there, outlined in yellow. So there's not room, that's all the interior of the store. There's no back for inventory, storage, anything like that. Without the storage containers, quite frankly, It's encouraging that we have more inventory in the store, maximize that. With this, we don't need to include all of that in the store, in the building. They can be in a metal container that's contained, and
So there's more scrutiny with the fireworks obviously being in the building than there is in the trailers, in the storage containers.
well, as far as the building requirements, but in the storage containers, they're contained, obviously no customers or neighbors are close to that. It's a metal structure and it's totally contained. So that's a much better location for them in the building. The building has preventative things like fire suppression systems, more water sprinkler systems. But to the extent we're concerned about people and neighbors, this is contained in a metal box. And in fact, I'd say that that's more safe for the public than inside the building. While it's great that it has those fire suppression mechanisms to put out the fire so there's less damage, the fact that it's in a contained metal unit, I think is better for anybody in the public to limit if there weren't any accident.
Does the heat or the humidity affect the fireworks that would be there? I don't know.
I don't claim to be an expert on that. I will say that the recommendation for location of these came from the fire department. And also, there's transient, this is getting a little bit off, you can cut me off at any time, but there's some transient permits for like parking lot fireworks. You might see a pop-up tent and everything. I've heard that those locations are permitted one storage container, and this year, in fact, our client was permitted one storage container for such use. I know I've seen those outside the Meijer store. So, and those are approved by the fire marshal, and they're going through and looking at those. So currently, that's the fix that is already, in play for places that don't have building structures. And so I don't know the answer to your question, but it's already being used and recommended.
If it makes it more susceptible to explosions or anything like that.
So it's a pretty secure area then?
The location where they're being put?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a fence, as it appears on the screen there, to the left of it, there's a fence currently
Right.
already there between that and 12th Street. On the other side is, obviously, is the building,
Right.
and then the containers are, obviously, will be locked and contained in that area.
Any other questions? Sorry,
That's all right.
I should share the questioning. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Is there anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of Appeal 24-25? Hearing none, is there anybody in the room wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-25? Hi, sir, come on up.
Hi, my name's Rudy Vegg. Spelling is Vegh-Rudy. I'm the owner of Ozarks Pawn Shop that is part of that complex there. The big square is the self-storage unit, which kind of didn't make sense. He's asking for storage next to a storage unit. Why not put it inside the storage unit? They have a fire suppression system already built into that unit, into their unit. So if there is a fire, it's already contained with their fire suppression system, as well as the fireworks place. I never understood how the bingo, because he used to be Morris Bingo, and how the bingo converted to the fireworks store, because fireworks stores are always self-sufficient buildings that aren't hooked onto other buildings for the fire safety factor of having fireworks inside that building. So I was really shocked that a permit was ever even issued out for him to have a firework stand there. It used to strictly be bingo sales. So I wasn't happy about that. I didn't come and complain when he did it because he was small, very small, just a few, nothing big. But what's been happening is his employees have been showing off fireworks in the parking lot, demonstrating fireworks. Well, that's real nice and cool for his sales, but that's a rubber roof. The big square is a rubber roof. My roof is a rubber roof. And this has been constant all season that they've been popping off fireworks in that parking lot. This gentleman there is going to testify to that here in a minute. So we have problems with this property here. Two, I'm glad that their lawyer said that they're going to piggyback. If you guys do okay it, they're going to piggyback it. Because if they went side by side, my big thing was the fire trucks could not get through that. And part of that is an easement. But if they piggyback it, that's no problem. But the big thing is explosions. I've got some videos I'd like to show you guys, if you don't mind. If you will, can you roll those videos?
We start this midday in Clive, where a 40-foot fireworks container caught fire early this morning. Fire crews responding to the intersection of Hickman Road and 94th Street for reports of a fire that they say was an extremely hazardous situation. The Clive Fire Department says the container showed signs of a previous explosion. As you can see here, the sides of the container expanded due to that explosion. It took hours to contain the situation, closing down Hickman and 94th overnight. Streets reopened before the morning rush hour. Thankfully, no one was injured. We spoke to the owner of Iowa Fireworks Company after the fire.
This
The fire
company
department was able to get right out here and monitor
Watch the
the
next
situation, and I was really appreciative that how responsive they were, and I believe a passerby noticed that it looked like there was a problem and called the fire department, and then they called us, and we were on site with them ever since that happened.
So that's one of the
Fires
mild
faced an
ones.
extremely hazardous situation when a fireworks storage container caught fire. So this happened in Clive near 94th and Hickman Road. Fireworks stored in a 40-foot steel container were on fire when firefighters arrived. The container showed signs of a prior explosion when they got on scene. Hickman Road and 94th Street, they were closed for 2 hours while they stabilized the situation. Now, happy to say no injuries were reported. The fireworks stand is owned by Iowa Fireworks Company. Now, Urbandale Police and fire.
So there's other videos, if you go online and take a look, where the fireworks are actually exploding outside the containers and sparks and everything going everywhere. And that's what really concerns me the most with this rubber roof. If a variance is granted to them, I would like to see him also have to have a surety bond in place that will protect all the buildings around him, like a $5 million surety bond, which is an insurance policy to cover any damages that were to happen to all the buildings around us. That would be fantastic. But I'm 100% against it. And people ask, well, what would start that to catch on fire?
Rudy, I'm going to have you on the microphone.
Okay. So everybody's thinking, well, what's going to cause that to come on fire? Well, this is the new tool for thieves. This opens up anything. It opens up a lock. It can cut a hole in that metal container in the greatest of ease. It can actually even cut concrete metal blocks for people to get into the buildings. This will cause that metal container to spark and arc. That's all it's going to take, and we've got a problem. And we know thieves aren't smart. They're dumb enough to use one of these on that container. The slots really worry me. He mentioned that they're thinking about putting slots on the fence. Once you put slots on, people can't see your container, but also they can't see what's going on behind the slots. So thieves can hide behind there and break into that container a whole lot easier. That location has had problems. The storage unit has been attempted to be broke into several times. My pawn shop this year has been 3 attempts. I've caught two people twice this year already there. They jump the fence, cut the fence with these devices, and they get in. The same thing's going to happen to these storage units. They're going to go for it. It's just another item in that fenced-in area that they're going to target. So That is my whole reasoning why I don't want this. It's just going to be another spot for them to come. If he needs to store inside the building, that's a storage unit already on the property, and it has fire suppression system in it. That system is there for a reason. Those containers don't have a fire suppressing system. It's just going to blow. You put gunpowder in metal, it's an explosive device. It's a bomb. I don't want a bomb in my backyard of my business. Thank you.
Yep, I have a question. So why do you refer to the fireworks location right now as a storage container?
Well, where he's going to put his storage container, but his actual store.
No, you referred to that as a storage.
His actual store, it used to be a bingo hall supply store, and then he converted it slowly over to a fireworks store. And I'm just shocked that the city even gave him a license for that, because typically they're standalone buildings for the fire portion of it. If there's a fire, if we would have had the storage unit guy come in here, his insurance is higher because he's bumped up right up against it. So he has to pay a higher insurance policy because of the fireworks stand being there. I got lucky my insurance company hasn't noticed it yet.
Okay, questions for Mr. Bay? None? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I took your questions down, and we'll have them answered in the right of rebuttal. I appreciate you coming up. Hi, is there anybody else in the room wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-25? Hi.
Hi, I'm Tony Valentine from Builders Ironworks. I previously sent a letter in, and I could read that, or I can basically reiterate the issues that we're concerned about.
Yeah, we don't need to reiterate what was already hashed over, but your letter will be read, and it's normally read
okay.
by our city planner. But if you have it there, you could read the letter, and that would save a step.
Sure, okay. I'm writing on behalf of Builders Ironworks. We're located 1016 East 12th Street in Mishawaka. Is basically right behind this property. I would say it's roughly about, our building's roughly about 150 feet from these containers. And the subject project as applied for use variance, well, we know that for the fireworks. We strongly oppose this use variance. Throughout the years, the occupant of the subject property has let off large fireworks, large boom makers from time to time up to the present. The most recent incident was the week of June 17th, 2024. In the past, and then we've actually had, it's been just about every day, just like Rudy had spoke of. And a lot of that firework debris has landed on our property, and we've had to clean it up. And just like Rudy had spoke, our roofs are EPDM rubber, and we're concerned about, some of the firecrackers and stuff being lit off. And as it pertains to this, the actual storage containers, we're concerned, about the explosive nature of basically the explosives and the metal container. I don't know what kind of, there's no suppression with this, and we're concerned our employees actually break right outside our building right there. We're in the same parking lot. And, with the extreme heat and stuff, I don't know issues, other than what I just saw, on the videos. So that's one main concern that we have. And like say, there's actually a container already out there. You had questioned Rudy about that, and I don't know what's in that currently, if there's any fireworks in there currently. Okay. So, well, I didn't quite read my whole letter here, but basically I'm summarizing, basically our concerns, safety for our employees. Would there be an explosion? It would be catastrophic. And our office is just adjacent to that as well. And we're not too happy with all the issues that we've had with all the, firecrackers going off. And we've said we've commented on it before, but it continues. So,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you writing the letter and coming in today. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Come on. Name and address, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm the owner of the property adjacent to this property that's asking for the...
Can we get your name again
I'm sorry.
for Donna?
Elvis Ballantyne, president of Builders Ironworks. Okay. Anyhow, the one thing that is a large concern for us is the fireworks that sometimes they shoot off over there. It's not firecrackers, it sounds like a bomb. And inside our building, it's a huge building, and sometimes our employees could possibly be doing a certain operation that this noise could actually cause them to have an accident that could be detrimental to their health. And just 2 weeks ago, I was in our shop, and one of these fireworks went off, and it definitely sounded like dynamite or a bomb or whatever. Very, very loud, very loud. Another issue is we have a tremendous amount of money invested in that property. And we are a very good tenant for the city. And we would ask for this permit to be denied on the issue of possibly our insurance is very high, expensive as it is. But with something like this next door, how do we know that our insurance company is not going to be raising our insurance costs? I think everybody is entitled to make a living whatever way they can, but when they harm or it's detrimental to their next door neighbor, I think it should be denied. And I thank you for my time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-25? Anybody online? Oh, come on up. Hi.
Hello, my name is Brian Ballantyne. I also work at Builders Ironworks. One thing that was left out is last year, about this time, they caught our yard on fire. And I had to put it out. So just another addition to why it's awkward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-25? Hearing none, we'll get these questions addressed by Counselor. If you'd come up for right of rebuttal, please.
Thank you. I'll do my best to address those, but please don't hesitate to remind me of certain questions if they're lingering.
Sure.
One of the first questions I heard was, why do the fireworks, why aren't they stored inside the larger building? Can you put up the slide that shows the store highlighted in the yellow? The 940 East 12th Street is what's highlighted right in the yellow there. So it says 940 right there. The building to the west of it, it's got the address there, 1010. That's 1010 Merrifield Avenue. And those are separate parcels. So 940 is its own separate parcel owned by Morris Sales. 1010 South Merrifield is, that part of the building is only owned by MCC Self-Storage. So the reason that the fireworks wouldn't be stored there are they're different owners. It's a different store. Now, on the outside, the parking lot, that blue area, and actually all around the building is its own separate parcel. And that parcel is jointly owned by my client Morris Sales and MCC's Self-Storage, the company that owns 1010 South Merrifield. Now, that company, MCC Self-Storage, they also signed the appeal. So they have they're the closest parcel to it. They have the largest roof. They're right there next to it. And they signed the appeal. They don't have a vested interest. They're not making money off of it. But they had no issue, and they gladly signed the appeal when we asked. So that's the practical, is Morris Sales doesn't own that where he's asking for it to be stored. Number two, I believe Mr. Vey said that he was shocked when my client originally got the permit to operate a fireworks store. It sounds like he obviously doesn't want a fireworks store there at all, and hasn't liked that we're operating there at all. We've gone through the steps. We've been approved by the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. They come out and do inspections. They have permits. They have make you go through all that compliance. We've also been a good neighbor and worked with the city fire to make sure we try to address their concerns, and we really appreciate them putting their thought into it as to where the containers should be located. There was a lot of talk about not liking or danger involved with the fireworks themselves, the noise caused or anything else with those. And it seems to be a polarizing issue with whether or not people like that, whether they don't. I believe the city has restrictions on when they can be set off and such. All of that is separate and apart from the use variance. Whether or not we like fireworks, whether or not as a matter we want them in the place next to us, you know, all of our neighbors can light them off at the opportune times, and that's part of the deal. So I want to pull back to the location and where the containers would be proposed. We've, in this process, tried to work with the city and people that know more than we do about fire and have to respond to those. And so that's why we wanted to know, you know, what would be proposed. We know all these other fireworks stores in the city have these containers. And so that's been approved. The fire marshal is okay with that. And so that's why, you know, we went after that train, or that's why we followed that. And then they were kind enough to show us where they should be located. Again, fireworks stores across the city this past month have had those all over. So I'm not sure where it's coming from that the metal box is not a good solution to it, but that's been prevalent in the city, and we have bigger problems if that itself isn't okay. With regard to some of the YouTube videos, you know, there's a lot on YouTube. I'm sure we could find a lot there, one way or the other. I guess I would defer more to the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, and when they do inspections, and the local authorities that have suggested where to put these containers. I find that much more credible. I don't know that anybody in the room tonight is an expert in fire or fire suppression or anything like that. And so again, we worked with the city, and from what we've saw, we're proposing what we believe is the best solution. And if the city fire had a different suggestion or a different solution, you know, we'd be ears to that too. But that's, quite frankly, that's kind of how we came to where we are tonight. With regard, most of those I was trying to address what Mr. Vey had said. With regard to Builders Ironworks as well, they're talking about the noise, the debris, or danger of fire. Again, that's something with regard to the fireworks and whether or not they're lit and they're sent off. That's not why we're here. We're in the business of selling fireworks. So obviously, we're not just lighting them all off. I believe they said that there were some set off for demonstrative purposes, and I believe that's accurate. And there were quite a few fireworks set off around our city and neighboring cities. And so that in and of itself isn't a reason for the fireworks store not to operate. with this. And if they, perhaps there's a more neighborly way we could try to address some of those issues, which we would be happy to hear. When I called my client, when I got notice of this letter, quite frankly, he was pretty shocked because he thought he'd had pleasant conversations with the Ballantines on other items in the last couple weeks with regarding to letting them use this area while their parking lot or something was under construction. So I know he appreciates the relationship they've had over the years and wouldn't want anything tonight to stand in the way, and would still be happy to communicate with them if there's something as simple as if fireworks, can be lawfully set off, but if we talk and if it's during business hours and they would like a heads up, we're not here to make life worse for anybody. And I didn't hear anything in that, what they said, pointing to the use of the fireworks was illegal or anything like that. And the property values and the investment, again, it goes back to whether or not you like fireworks, whether or not you like them next door. And fireworks stores aren't prohibited in the city. Quite to the contrary, we've followed actions and frankly asked for permission rather than forgiveness in trying to do this all the right way, get approved by the state, work with local authorities, and try to, on the front end, get to a solution that everybody can live with.
Oh, I have a couple of other questions I want to make sure get addressed from the group that spoke. Is there any additional insurance that you need to purchase to have these out there?
With, is there any additional insurance that I know my client has insurance for its operation. I know I've heard that MCC Storage has insurance for theirs. So I don't have the policy with me, but right. I can't imagine, if we're insured for selling them there at the location.
But to your knowledge, there wouldn't be extra insurance you would need to have for property damage in case there's an accident?
Correct. To my knowledge, no. And I heard, they would like sureties posted. I don't even want to talk about the can of worms that would open if,
Sure.
you have to post surety bonds for everybody in a certain radius. And I guess I would also like to note that because of the circumference around the store, while right in this location it's commercial and then all industrial to the east, the parcel is quite big, the parking lot parcel, and actually goes all the way out in the north to Merrifield. Because of that, we had to send notice to everybody within, I think, you know better than I do, but I think it was 300 feet of that. So 300 feet from the corner of the parcel, a lot of notices went out to residents. We didn't hear from any residents tonight, which I think says something. There might be some business disputes from these neighbors. Some people might wish my client never had a fireworks store, or at least never had a fireworks store next to them. And that's not why we're here. We're here, obviously we have approval from the state and have had approval from the city to operate there. And so this is just a request. And going back to the safety of it, if we weren't permitted to do this, it would be encouragement to put as much, it'd be encouragement to put more fireworks inside the store where there's people. And this is a way to make it safer that way. And so that's a big part of why we thought this was the best suggestion.
And I know other things were mentioned, but your assessment of what we're voting on is absolutely correct. It's a C1, do we allow a use variance to have 2 permanent storage containers for fireworks? And I agree that is what we're voting on tonight. Are the containers specialized in any way, or would it just be a storage container? They're not specialized with anything having to do with fireworks other than you're going to add markings to say that it has
Right, the markings.
explosives in it.
And I guess, no, I don't know they're special in any way. When we got the idea from the authorities, it was, you know, we just heard storage containers. If there's, in our understanding of the containers that the transient firework vendors, who, by the way, don't even have a building or anything, so it's all just in Myers parking lot or whoever's parking lot, that we're already operating that way. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but what I am saying is, because there's a video in a different locale with fireworks that you or I have no idea what happened or how it happened, and I might know, I thought they said in there that nobody was injured, which is a lot better than having this happen in a building. It's great that the sprinklers can put it out, but it's better to have it in this contained unit to not get out to everybody else.
Other questions?
You've mentioned a few times that if the containers were not allowed, that would potentially encourage additional fireworks to be held or inventory in the store. I would assume there are some sort of limits or regulations on the...
Definitely, there are, and...
So you're not implying that your client would then go above and beyond those if those...
Correct.
limits-
And I don't claim to know all of them. I believe there's only a certain level you can go up so that the fire suppression systems work. So no, we wouldn't do that. But with the license we have, there's different levels of licenses with the state, depending on what you've done for your building. And so our license, we have more protections and such, so that outside of some of those restrictions, we could put more in than if you had other licenses. And so, yeah, that wouldn't be apples to apples. If we had a different license, it might be a lot more restrictive what we can put in the building. Because of the license we have, there's much more that we could put in the building. We just don't think that's being a good neighbor.
Thank you.
One last question from me. Is there, what is being done to prevent theft and breaking in these? Obviously, people know there's expensive fireworks in there. So
Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
is the
'cause
area lit, or?
Well, I heard about the neighboring store has break-ins. I haven't heard that my client has had any. I've only been there in the daylight, so quite frankly, I don't recall
Okay.
if there's anything lit.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for the right of rebuttal, and I appreciate you answering all the questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further information, Mr. Spear?
No additional information.
Okay. Then with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. And is there any discussion on this?
I feel like I've heard two main complaints, one of them being safety and the other being the activity of the business as it currently is. Regarding safety, I don't think we're the experts on that. Even if we were to approve this, the state fire marshal could come in and say, no, this is not safe, and the containers aren't going to happen. Regarding the current behavior of the business, even if I can be sympathetic towards the neighbors, but even if it's not good behavior, I don't think that's relevant to these discussions.
Okay, with that, I will take a motion on Appeal 24-25. Reminder that this will move to the council, and they'll have the final vote on this.
I move that we approve Appeal 24-25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Donna, would you please call for the vote?
Joel Dindu,
Yes.
Denise Graves,
Yes.
Chris Torty.
No. And this will move to the council with no recommendation. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, then moving down on the list, Appeal 24-26, an appeal submitted by Ashley R. Jason S. Tesh, requesting a developmental variance for 1237 Bradford Street, Mishawaka, Indiana, to allow for a reduced front and exterior side yard setback.
Hello, we are the owners of 1237 Bradford Street. My name is Jason Tesh. Hers is, my
Ashley
wife is
Tesh.
Ashley Tesh. We are just looking to put up a fence around the house that we have, just to have our dogs be able to roam freely around our yard. And we were just requesting this due to the fact that it is a 5-foot fence instead of a 4-foot fence.
We want the extra foot just because we have some big dogs and we don't want them to jump over or whatever. And also I can't see, and if they get out, I can't chase them.
Yes.
So we just want to make sure they're contained in a safe area.
And the fence will be a chain link fence.
Great. Thank you. Sounds like you worked with the staff and they recommend approval as well. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of Appeal 24-26? Hearing none, is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-26? Hearing none, if there's no additional information, I'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion on 24-26.
I make a motion to approve Appeal 2426.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Donna, would you please call for the vote?
Joel Dindu?
Yes.
Denise Graves?
Yes.
Chris Doherty?
Yes, and Appeal 24-26 passes. The next one is Appeal 24-27. It is a use variance, so this will also go to the council eventually. An appeal submitted by John C. Sr. and Rosemary Shea Trust requesting a use variance for 314 Cleveland Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, to allow fine line micro tattooing services. Hi.
Hi. My name is Danielle Zupka, and I am opening a business at 314 West Cleveland. I currently exist on the corner of Main and 23 in University Commons, and I am moving to this location. We are requesting a use variance so that I can expand my services. I am wanting to do something that's relatively new, and that we're doing what's called micro tattooing. It is a form of tattooing that uses very small needle cartridges. So it takes a lot less power. It is the same tools and modalities that I currently use at my current business. I do permanent makeup, tattooing, brows, and eyeliner. So we're just taking a little spin, if you will, on what we currently do and offer these tiny tattoos. They are small and minimalistic in nature.
Thank you. We've had quite a few of these come through.
I was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've heard the spiel quite a few times, but thank you for the presentation. Is there any questions? No? Is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of Appeal 24-27? Hearing none, is there anybody in the room or online wishing to speak in opposition to Appeal 24-27? Hearing none, if there's no additional information, I'll close the public hearing. And if there's no discussions, I'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion to approve Appeal 2427.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Donna, would you please call for the vote?
Joel Dindu?
Yes.
Denise Graves?
Yes.
Chris Doherty?
Yes, and Appeal 24-27 will move to the council with a favorable rating. Is there any old business, Mr. City Planner?
None.
Any new business?
None.
Privilege of the floor. Does anybody have anything to discuss that's not on the agenda items for tonight? Seeing none, I'll have a motion for an adjournment.
So moved.
We're adjourned. Thank you all.